Listen, Morty. You piece of unevolved space trash. I've played 13 billion games against all kinds of losers. Some geniuses and others beginners who have the same IQ as a brain-dead rat fetus floating in a bucket of bleach. I mean, Morty, that fetus could still beat you at chess while it's dissolving. I'm going to explain exactly why I make every move while I destroy 3 idiots, like the stupid primate version of your father. I'm going to give you instructions so detailed that even your brain could understand how to win, even though it only thinks about chasing your filthy girlfriend. The first one is a 700 ELO player, basically a clone of you, but with a mother who loves him. Let's open this first game with E4 and see what this piece of space trash does. C6. Wow, the Caro-Kann defense. You've probably heard in your pathetic elementary classes that you want to control the center in the opening, but what if I told you that's not entirely true? In some openings like the Caro-Kann, you deliberately give up the center and let me play D4. Boom! Now I've got the entire damn center. Black's goal is to try to reclaim it in the middle game after handing it over like an idiot. Let's see how he does it. D5. All right, the idea is to challenge my center. I'm going to push a 5 to expand my space. Listen carefully, Morty. If you have more space, it's easier to place your pieces in squares that don't suck. I hope this example is realistic enough for your brain to process. More space means more room for your pieces to breathe instead of suffocating in their own incompetence. In this position, Black wants to push the E-pawn, but that would block his bishop, so he should develop it first. Incredible! He actually knows how to play the Caro-Kann, which is surprising because he's pathetically bad at this game. Anyway, I'm going to develop my knight and he plays a 6. A normal, predictable, boring move. Now I'm going to develop my bishop. Why the bishop, Morty? Because now you can see one of the biggest weaknesses of the Caro-Kann. I can castle at any moment while Black isn't even close. So his king is going to be stuck in the center for a long time, like you when I leave you alone on a planet full of AIDS-ridden Therians. Why put it on E2? Well, the other squares are obviously trash. Only D3 could be an option, but then he'd probably trade bishops, and I want to keep mine for an attack on this diagonal later. You'll see what I mean, if you don't fall asleep. C5. All right, first of all, I don't want to take his pawn because he can recapture with the bishop. I'm not going to help him develop his pieces. I'm not stupid, Morty. And second, you can already see how his queen side is becoming weakened. That's very bad for him because his king is still in the center of the board. I'm sure I'm going to crush him with a queenside attack. But for now, let me develop my bishop. I don't have a specific plan yet. I'm just being infinitely superior. All right, he takes my pawn. You might be tempted to recapture with the queen because it develops the queen for free, but you always have to think one step ahead, Morty, something you never do. If you do that, he can develop his knight attacking your queen, and you'll have to retreat like a coward. So instead, I'll recapture with the knight, attacking his bishop at the same time. He retreats the bishop because he doesn't want to trade. Fair. I simply castle. Look at this. My king is safe. His king is still in the center, and there's no way he's castling anytime soon. Black develops a knight. Not a bad move for a mortal. I think I'll add more pressure on the queen's side. Let's go C4. You don't have to play this exact move, but I feel it will help accelerate the collapse of his queen side. Let's see what he does. He should try to castle or at least bring some stability, but forget it. He wants to lose, so he took my knight. That's not a loss of material. But now this diagonal with a direct attack on the king is open again. I'll recapture the knight with my queen. I only use my queen because I know he can't attack it afterward. At this point, I have a very clear plan. My king is safe. His king is not safe at all. The queen side is completely shattered, and this open diagonal will be his critical weakness. Now he captures my pawn. I will recapture with the queen. Look, his king will not be safe for the next 5 moves. Rook to C8. The idea here is that he wants to develop his rook to a good square while also attacking my queen. So I would have to move my queen again, losing a tempo. A brilliant idea for an idiot, but it's a mistake. Check! That's not good for him. Queen to D7 to block. I could take his queen and he would have to move his king, which means he can no longer castle. That would be a decent move, but you should always look for something better. I'll go rook to D1. Now I'm attacking the queen, but the queen cannot move sideways. It is pinned by my queen. His only reasonable option is to capture my queen, and that's what he does. Now this move is an easy decision. Take the damn queen, check. Now his only 2 options are to move the king and completely ruin his kingside structure, or block the check with his rook. But rooks are more valuable than bishops, right? He decides not to block with the rook and instead moves his king. Now I can go here. My rook is defended by the bishop and I'm attacking his king and his pawn at the same time. He moves his king. I take the pawn and it's check again. He moves his king. I give check again. He moves his king and I take another pawn and it's also check. He moves his king again and now, because I'm a genius, I see a forced checkmate. I have to say there were no major mistakes in this game. He's only 700 ELO, but this was surprisingly clean. Wooba looba dub dub checkmate. Let's go to the second game, Morty. E4 and D5. All right, this is the most common opening for nerds. Let me show you how to destroy it. For the next game, I'll make sure to play black so you can also see how it's done. But now let's focus on this shit. Go knight F3, a normal developing move putting pressure on the center. Knight C6. All right, I'll go bishop B5, immediately attacking the knight. Why do I do that? First, I'm ready to castle again at lightning speed. Second, the knight on C6 is defending the pawn. So by putting pressure on the knight, I weaken the center. He pushes a pawn. Fair? I would do the same. Now in this case, you don't want to take the knight. You might think you can exchange pieces and now the pawn is undefended, so you can take it with your knight. But now you would have two undefended pieces, Morty. Very dangerous. You have to be suspicious in these situations. In this case, black can move the queen to D4, attacking both pieces. There's no way to defend both. What's the lesson here, Morty? Try not to let the air escape from your nose. Be extremely careful when you move a piece to an undefended square, and super extra careful when you have two undefended pieces at the same time. Here, you want to retreat the bishop. Black pushes another pawn. Good move. I have to retreat my bishop again. Now black can develop a piece, but he plays bishop C5. That's an absolute mistake. Why? My plan is to play C3 and then D4. I would do this anyway, but now there's also a bishop there and he will have to retreat it. It's not a losing mistake, but it's still a stupid move. This might be one of the few cases where it's fair to say I have opening knowledge and he doesn't. I don't think you could calculate that with your tiny brain. That's why you should pick an opening and actually learn it. First, I'll keep my king safe so I don't end up like the last guy. D6. All right, now I'll play C3. I do this to create a free square for my bishop in case he plays knight f5. Knight f6. What does this move do? Is it attacking something? Yes, my pawn, but let me teach you about levels of danger. Instead of defending my pawn like a coward, I will attack his bishop. That way, I can complete my planned attack and he cannot take my pawn because his bishop is under attack. This attack might look messy, but you only have to count how many pieces are attacking my pawn. 1, 2, 3. How many are defending it? 1, 2, 3. So I'm fine. He takes my pawn. I will recapture, obviously. I don't think I need to explain this to you. Jerry could even understand it. Now he has to move his bishop. There you go. Look at that massive center. That's the magic that happens when you learn an opening and actually play it well. Now I have many options. Let's first look at my opponent's moves. The first thing that comes to mind is that he can capture the pawn. It's undefended, but if he does, I can play rook to e1, pinning the knight to the king. And trust me, I'll find a way to win that knight. So that's not a problem. What else could he do? If he moves the bishop here, my knight would be pinned to the queen. I don't want that, so I'll play h3 to prevent it. He castles. Now his king is no longer in the center. That pawn was defended by a potential pin, but now there's no king behind the knight, so I'll have to defend my pawn. I'll do that with knight f3. Rook e8, double attacking my pawn. I understand the idea. You place a rook on a good square and attack, but always look for a better move. I can pin his knight first. If he takes my pawn, I take his queen. If he takes with the rook, I take his rook, so he can no longer capture. h6, a bit late, but okay. I retreat my bishop and he pushes another pawn. Now I'm going to do something great. I will sacrifice my knight. He recaptures and I recapture. Look at this. The king side is open and there is a lot of pressure. This knight cannot move. And the queen cannot either because then I take the knight. There is no good way to defend it. It's a disgusting position for black. If you played more, you would develop pattern recognition to see these dangerous positions. King g7, defending the knight, but it's still pinned. Let's think about how to apply more pressure. Knight d5, attacking the knight once again. If I capture with my bishop now, I will attack the king and queen at the same time. Huge win. So he'd better find a way to defend it. And surprisingly, he finds an interesting way. Bishop takes d4. Now the knight is defended by the bishop and the bishop by the knight. Man, these 1,200 rated players nowadays are incredibly bad because I'm about to ruin his day. Rook c3 attacking the knight that defends the bishop that defends the knight. What do you learn here? I'm attacking the defender of a piece I want to eliminate. I remove this bishop by attacking its defender, and he defends with the bishop. The rook takes here, he recaptures, and I can take the bishop with my queen. Not only do I win material, but I'm triple attacking that poor knight. I hope this tactic is understandable to you. From here, the game is easy. Rook e6? I don't know what he's trying to do. He should have taken my knight. Now I have another tactic. I take his knight. He recaptures with the rook. Horrible for him. My bishop is eyeing the rook and the queen. The rook is massively pinned by my queen. It's having its worst day. I don't have to take it now. I can wait and see if there's a better tactic. Let's push a pawn. If I were him, I'd be very worried, but it doesn't matter. He pushes on the queen side. I could move my rook here and here, applying more pressure. It takes 2 moves, but he can't stop it. Another queenside push, and here I see a tactic to win his queen. You probably don't see it yet, but remember, make sure your king is safe. My opponent cannot win my queen because my king is safe. His isn't. Second, improve your tactics. Chess is 99% tactics. I take the rook, check. He takes with the queen. He probably thinks I'll recapture with my queen, but no. Rook g3, check, and the king cannot move to any square that defends the queen. Now he has to move his king, and the queen is left alone. I take it. Oh no, my bishop. How will I ever win now with only a 7-point material advantage? Wooba-looba, dub-dub, checkmate. Let's move on to the third game. I'll show you how to win with black. e4, the most common move. I'll play the Caro-Can, you'll see why. d4, d5. I'm trying to break the center. e5. All right, I develop my bishop before pushing the pawn. Remember that. He develops his knight, I push my pawn. This guy is playing well. He can castle whenever he wants. But I'll show you how to keep your king safe. This will be a good lesson on king safety and how to convert the middle game into a winning endgame because this player might actually reach the endgame. I'll attack the center now. If he captures, I recapture with the bishop. He castles. Good. I'll develop my knight to close this diagonal. I'll wait for now. My main concern is keeping this diagonal closed until my king is safe. c3, a common move. I capture, he recaptures, and my queen side remains closed. I'll try to castle. I bring the knight out to a 7. Don't worry about the bishop. We'll develop it too. Knight c3, my turn. There's nothing dangerous right now. I'll go bishop g4. If I eliminate this knight, I remove a defender of this pawn. At lower levels, you can win this e-pawn very often. He attacks my bishop, I trade pieces. Beautiful. Now his central pawn is only defended once. I move my knight here and attack it twice. Notice that I told you I wanted to castle quickly, but I didn't. Sometimes you have to change plans when an opportunity appears. I'm sure I'm going to win a pawn. He defends with his bishop, but now I add more pressure with my queen, attacking the central pawn and the b-pawn at the same time. A grandmaster would find a way to defend this, but this guy is about to lose a pawn. Yes, he pushes this pawn. Chess is about counting, Morty. Can you count? 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking. 1, 2 pieces defending. I take the pawn. He captures with the bishop, and I capture with the queen. Why the queen? Because I want him to trade queens with me so we move toward the end game. With this pawn structure, I can force a win. He takes my queen, and I recapture. Perfect. He decides to put his rook on d1. The rook is better placed, and I have to move my knight. Where? Look at this. If I take the bishop, it's check, and he'll recapture with the pawn, creating doubled pawns. That's bad for him, so I'll do it. Perfect. Let me show you how to win the endgame. I move my rook to c8, taking control of the rank and attacking the knight. Let's see where he moves it. b5. Not a fatal mistake, but it's short-sighted. I simply push my pawn, and he has to retreat. Finally, it's time to develop the bishop. In my mind, the first thing I look for is threats. But since there's nothing dangerous, I can calmly develop my bishop here. My opponent offers a rook trade. I'm fine with that because I'll win the endgame, but if I initiate the trade, he'll recapture and dominate the file. So I'll take care of my king first. Should I castle? No. Your king wants to be safe in the middle game. But when there are a few pieces left, you can move it to the center. The king is a strong piece after all. It only moves 1 square, but in every direction. Look at this walking tank. You'll see that kings will play a major role. He also moves his king. I trade rooks. Now I want to move my bishop here. He has to save his rook. Now I go here. Good. I attack the pawn and cut off the king. It's a good position. He moves the rook to defend. His rook is stuck, and I can move mine to take control of this rank. Let's win this. He pushes his pawn. All right, my rook is better, but I'll do this. I can trade pieces because I will definitely win the pawn endgame. He captures, I recapture, and he makes the mistake of moving his king. I place my bishop here, attacking the knight and the pawn. He moves his knight, and I win the pawn. Thank you. In this position, he pushes a pawn, and I retreat my bishop. This isn't astrophysics, Morty. Let's see who can promote first. His king is stuck on one side, blocked by my pawns. My king has easy access to his pawns. I walk toward his pawns. What is he going to do? Attack mine. He can't do anything. He pushes. I capture. He captures. I take another step toward his pawns. His king cannot reach mine. Every square is occupied. He retreats. I take the opportunity to move my bishop while attacking his pawn. He dodges my attack, and I take another step toward his pawns. I keep making sure he can't reach me while I capture his pawns. He tries to save his pawn without success. I'll simply fork his knight and pawn. Yes, kings can fork pieces too. He has to move his knight, and I take the pawn. Look how powerful kings are in the endgame. The most important thing is to cut off the enemy king and use your own. His pawn runs away as if there were still hope. I'm coming for you, peasant. Knight e5, a very short-sighted attempt at an attack. I trade my pieces. I defend this pawn. He pushes forward. I take. He pushes another pawn, and now the inevitable victory is close. I could promote these pawns, but also this one. I push my pawn. He follows me. I escort my pawn. He can't go here, so he goes to the next best square. And boom! This is called the red carpet, Morty. My king covers every square and the pawn can safely walk to promotion. No one can stop it. White resigns. Good game, bro. If you want to win more games like this, there's a problem. Most people train inefficiently and never reach their dream rating. Do you want me to explain how to beat a grandmaster? Or would you rather keep being useless? If it's the first one, then subscribe to Rick Chess Morty. And stop walking around drooling all over yourself, especially